Hey guys, welcome to what is going to be the first of hopefully many podcasts between myself and the man Gacha Smack. I came up with this idea. I hit him up probably 3 days ago or something like that, and we started discussing the idea of this podcast. And what we're going to do is we're going to just talk about gacha games, mainly the ones we're interested in and the ones we're actively playing, but we're also going to try and get guests on. This is the first episode, so it's just going to be us two talking some shit about Star Rail 2.0, Star Rail versus Genshin and stuff like that. And then we will try and get people on talking about Wuthering Waves and stuff like that in the future. But Smack, thanks for agreeing to this first of all. I think we've got a chance to give some good insights and stuff like that through this. So thanks for coming on, dude.
Yeah, no problem, man. And like I said, or, like we discussed already, I think me and you have a pretty good chemistry with having civilized conversations, even if we don't have the same perspective, which is something that's important to share with people. It's okay to have discussions where you don't agree.
100%. And that's something I think is very prominent, especially in the space that we're in, is people get very one-sided and they only want to view one side. And I think having an actual discussion about things, especially like the quote-unquote drama type topics, is more valuable. And the one thing I would encourage people, especially with a lot of it, because like it does get around a lot, obviously it's massive amounts of content when you get into those sorts of spaces, is come up with your own thoughts as well around stuff. It's too easy to just follow what someone says and go, okay, that's my belief. Like you got to look at everything. And that's why I think having someone else to discuss these types of things with allows us to look at things from different perspective. And one of us can play devil's advocate, even if it's not our opinion, just to have a proper discussion around things.
And the most important variable, just to add on to that, is it's not easy. We get it. It's not easy to have a perspective other than your own, but it's so important to hear the other person out and try to understand where they came from. Like, I can't stress that enough.
100%. Yeah. So the first thing we're going to go through in this one is going to be 2.0 and our general thoughts on patch 2.0. I had a hot take. I recorded a video straight after it just to get all the info out about what it was. And I said that it didn't feel like a overwhelming, big, massive patch because most of the stuff that we saw was stuff that we've had before. We obviously got the 10 extra pulls, which is always nice. Anything extra free is always appreciated. And then the other big thing was the light cones. We're getting a bunch of new light cones to look at. But besides that, it was sort of like along the lines of a standard patch. What was your take on it?
For me personally, I tried to look at this from as many angles as I could. But one, I agree with you. There wasn't anything groundbreaking. I came to the same thought pattern. What I took into consideration was 2.0 Peanut County. That means we're getting a brand new area. But what other expectations do I have on getting something along with this brand new area? And I think this brings me into the mind frame of, well, how much time am I looking to get out of a gacha game? Which is, for me personally, no more than 2 hours a day. And since I'm a content creator, I don't mind that 2 hour a day time frame, which some would argue you don't get 2 hours a day out of it, right? So, and within those expectations, I wanted a good story development that was going to pick up from where we left off with random ass story plots like Ting Yun, where her whereabouts are, masked fools, what Sampo's dark side looks like. There's a lot of little story plots that they've just kind of left in certain areas that I want to see them pick back up on in Peanut County. But apart from that, I was only expecting story progression, quality of life improvement, and that's about it. I don't have an input to say, oh, I was expecting this with this patch. And I'm more curious, Volkin, to hear if you had an expectation that wasn't met.
See, I don't think I had an expectation. It was just like, my impression was like I didn't go, wow, this is amazing. Like there's so much coming. Like it just felt like another patch for me. Now, the thing that's going to do it for me would be how much story they actually deliver. Mm-hmm. So, And I think you're on a similar page as me. I love main story. I'm not as stressed on side stories and stuff like that.
Yep.
And I got completely fooled by the guys doing it because I don't know if you watching it, dude. I struggled to follow along with the subtitles. There was white on the bottom and it was white subtitles and they were talking fast. Mm-hmm. And so when they said it was going to be like a lighthearted type thing, I didn't even realize that was a joke. I was like, because the way they said it was going to be lighthearted and then everything we saw just seemed like, a dream world. It didn't seem too serious yet. And I was like, oh, maybe it is just going to be like a lighthearted, but it depends how deep they go in that first patch, because they did also say that it was going to expand over 3 patches. So maybe we don't get as much story in patch 2.0, and then the big patches are going to be like 2.1, 2.2, like maybe 2.0 gets us warmed up, gets us into the good vibes for a new patch, and then they get into the serious stuff, because I didn't realize the dude was the guy who did Honkai Impact 3rd, and he's like infamous for just like, you know, just making you cry essentially.
Yeah, butchering and bringing out the dark side of story. Yeah, I was going to mention that, so you already brought it up, but that there gives away that it's definitely going to have a serious side to it. I want to talk about that 2.0, bringing him in gives me hope that this Annihilation gang is really going to bring out some darkness in the game, which is what I've been looking forward to, because they put in that satanic scene during the Annihilation gang thing, and that just led me to believe, oh, some really gory and eerie shit is getting ready to happen. So I want to see not just the typical, people keep talking about Himiko and Welt dying. I want an extra person to die. Because then it's gonna death, it increases the value of pre-existing lives that are continuing the story. I think Necrit said something along the lines of that as well, but I'm all for that same line of thought. I don't know if you can agree with that.
I've got like a perfect example of this. Like, you know, I've talked to you about this. I've been watching through One Piece. It took me so long to get into it because the first like 100 episodes were stale, but the Netflix live action got me into it. And I don't want to spoil anyone that hasn't seen it because it's absolutely fantastic, but a lot of people know what I'm talking about. I'm about 500 episodes in, and for the most part, it just felt a bit too fluffy where, like, you know, they'd be like, oh, someone's going to die, and then they don't. And then you get to like, you know, like the Whitebeard type of arc and that whole thing. And then now we have actual stakes. And that gets me more excited for the rest of the series, because I'm like, okay, now they are willing to do that, and it gives it more impact on what happens. It's kind of like the whole Game of Thrones effect.
That kind of pacing, and I know exactly what you mean, that kind of pacing is what separates the adult from the child's interest. That's pretty much what it boils down to. Like what you said when you're like, I'm trying to like keep up with this, but they're doing this like whole little, oh, look at me, I'm on an adventure thing. Like that's for a kid, right? But once the Whitebeard shit comes in and people start dying and real adult things start occurring, now an adult's interest is in this show, which I feel a lot of people don't understand about animes. That's what separates an anime from a cartoon. But I get what you mean. That's why I say I want that to happen in Honkai Star Rail, because too often do I notice they do too much fan service and too much catering to the edgy weeb. And that shit, it's cool, but when it's used in excess, it just diminishes from real story value, coupled with gacha games giving you gacha dialogue, because it's like filler dialogue for a lot of the times.
Yeah, and I think that's what I haven't played Honkai Impact 3rd, but from what I hear from people talking about it who are really into the story, the stakes feel real, and like it sounds like the sort of theme of don't have a favorite character because you know that character's gonna die.
Right.
And it all comes back to me. I feel like the first time this got like real big was Game of Thrones, like when we're talking about just general television, where it was like, there is no one that's safe. Yeah. Like a lot of shows, it's like, okay, you've got the main few. Like if you look at something like Attack on Titan, like it was really good because there were so many characters like that could die, but you knew your main cast was going to be there. And then Game of Thrones was like that one where it's like, no, it doesn't matter who the fuck you are. You can die.
They'll throw Denzel Washington in there and kill him the next episode.
Yeah, like I just hope we get to something like that, because I think that it just makes you feel more for the story, in my opinion.
Yep, the continuation of it. There was something else I wanted to talk about with 2.0 that you were discussing earlier, but it completely left my thoughts. It's unfortunate.
That's right. I'll just pop it up if you think of it.
Yeah, no, that's all right.
So any other thoughts on general in the patch, things that you're looking forward to in the patch?
Keep having to kill my throat, excuse me. In the patch, oh yeah, that's okay. It brings me back. You were talking about how it didn't excite you as much. And I think the reason you even bring that up is because you were comparing your hype to the hype of the community as a whole collectively, which tends to just completely get out of fucking hand. And I think I wanted to back you up with that thought process, because that is so true. It's so easy for the community to blow something up and make it appear like it's gold when in reality it's copper. And it's like, I want to make sure you're not alone with that in this episode. I agree. I don't think this shit is anything groundbreaking, what is like contributing to the hype is that Honkai Star Rail has continued to deliver quality of life improvements. They've continued to deliver rewards that are greater than the whole ultimate game that everybody compares it to, Genshin Impact. And they continue to communicate with us and make us feel like they are listening to us. Because all of that is in the equation, when you put it on top of delivering an update with a fancy trailer, all of a sudden the update appears to be gold. Go ahead.
I think the other thing that may have made 2.0 seem not as good was that in 1.6, we had a free limited 5-star.
Yep.
And we had a new game mode.
Mm-hmm.
So like maybe that's like because you're coming off the back of something where you got like really big stuff, maybe it feels a bit watered down. But on that topic, this was like something funny. Like I told you this, and I said we were going to go through it here.
Yeah.
Like I said this to Smack when we were talking about topics for this podcast. And I said, Smack, Genshin gives 3 additional pulls on top of what they normally give. They start burning the place down. Honkai Star Rail gives 10 pulls on top of what they normally give. And it's a massive mega hype fest. What if they both gave 6? Like, where is the line on where it goes from let's burn the place down to
So this is what I'm talking about.
This is the best thing ever. Like,
Yeah.
it's to me, it's a 7 pull difference that has completely divided 2 communities. And just for full clarity, I'm not a Genshin player. I played like maybe 3 hours of Genshin when it launched. I played a bit of the CN beta before it launched. So I'm not like right up with all the Genshin stuff, but from what I could see, it looks like they have this festival thing that they do for Chinese New Year, and normally they get 10 pulls. Now they're getting 13 pulls. For Honkai Star Rail, for a patch, we normally get 10 pulls. Now we're getting 20 pulls. So like, where is that line, and what do you think contributes to such a division over like the 7 pull difference?
Well, this is I actually just said it, but I'm gonna say it again just so because now we're talking on a different topic, but. Just a slight try hard correction. Apparently Genshin Impact gives the 10 wishes every year with the 3 wishes as well. Apparently the 3 wishes like have some kind of lore bit with the Lantern Rite Festival. Whatever the case may be.
It's a normal thing.
So it the exact same amount of wishes occurred the year before and that occurred this year, but people are mad because they're like, what the fuck? I thought we were getting more this time. Like it's the 3rd year now. Why are you still giving us the same wish? And then the one little liner of, so thank you for your continued support. We're gonna send you 3 wishes. That's the whole thing that ignited the community ablaze. But people are tired of getting the same treatment from Genshin Impact because they already don't give enough. And now they have Honkai Star Rail to compare it to. But to go back to your question, the division from the 7 extra wishes in Honkai Star Rail in comparison to the 3 wishes in Genshin, I think it boils down to being icing on the cake. As we just discussed, Volkin, like you said, the patch before, we got a 5-star character, limited banner character who's actually pretty damn good. And we also got a new in-game mode. But if you just set that aside, they've constantly, every single patch after patch, added in QOL, added in in-game improvements, and they've constantly delivered a 10 pull every single patch. So when you add all that in, it makes the 7 wishes seem like 100 wishes. Whereas Genshin Impact, it's just the same exact deliverance. So I completely agree. It's not even that big of a difference. It's like a $10 difference in terms of generosity, but then they got all that other stuff they've been doing. But go ahead, though.
So with that, and I'm curious to see in the comments what people say who play Genshin.
Yeah.
If they gave Genshin 10 extra pulls,
yeah,
would that have been received well or poorly?
They definitely would have received it well. And the only reason they would have is because Genshin is already starving for anything, any little thing on top. So I'm willing to bet, it's not factual, I'm willing to bet that if they gave them 10 instead of the usual 3, they would be like, oh yeah, thank you. But now that things have been put into perspective, I think people are expecting a lot more than 10. In my mind, Volkin, that game's developer is like, they're in the hole right now with what they should be giving their audience. And if you disagree with this, Volk, this could be a disagreeable topic that maybe we could find some common ground on. But I think these gacha games, when I look at their price points, $100 equals 50% of a chance to get a character. So when I take that dynamic and I compare it to what they do after a year goes by as a reward, which is the 3 wishes shit, I'm like, bro, that's not even a 10th of a character. And you're always dropping new characters. and it costs you no money. What is the issue there? What is the issue with just saying, let me show our appreciation, common decency. Here's a 5-star. I just want to hear your thoughts.
I also have the big conspiracy that they keep Genshin. They keep and this is like pure conspiracy type theory stuff. I just like thinking about these types of things. So I feel like there's some legitimacy in the idea that they keep Genshin lower. And when we look on generosity, like say, let's call it a generosity scale of 1 to 10.
I think I know where you're going with this, but I want to hear you cook. Go ahead, cook it up.
I think a lot of people, especially Hoyo players, and correct me if I'm wrong, I feel like it's like, because Genshin was this massive wave that brought so many people that weren't in the gacha space before Genshin.
Like ever seen before.
I feel like Genshin is like a lot of people's benchmark for a gacha game. And so what that kind of does is make it people think like Genshin's like the average, which is like, a 5 out of 10 in generosity.
Right.
Which then them keeping Genshin where it was and being a little bit more generous with Honkai Star Rail makes it praised a lot more and gives it a lot more traction. It makes people think like Star Rail's like a 9 or a 10 on generosity.
Yeah.
When in reality, I think based on playing a ton of other gacha games now, it's always hard to compare other gacha games because how many characters they have, all that sort of stuff. But in general, I think it's more like Genshin's a 1 or a 2 and Star Rail's a 5 or a 6.
Completely agree.
But what they're doing is they're forming this vision around their future games that they're the peak of the peak and nothing can compete with them just by keeping Genshin that bit lower. And I think with the Genshin fans, what they found is they've been there for so long, they're going to stay there. And new players coming into Genshin, from what I've heard, and I can believe it because playing other games after they've been around for a while, the new player experience would be pretty good. Like I feel like if I went and played through Genshin right now with how many patches worth of story there is, it would be a fun playthrough. So I think that the players that can still playing Genshin will still play Genshin.
Yeah.
And the new players will still enjoy Genshin. So I think they're pretty safe with that. And what they can do now is use that as a launch pad to boost the perception of their other games, even though they're not like the most generous things on earth.
What a brilliant way to put it, Volkin. Deadass. You just reminded me that I feel like the people I'm battling to on the internet that are saying, well, you guys complaining, that. I feel like Genshin does this better than any other company out there. I think they are doing a phenomenal job of always having a large audience of newer players coming in and saying goodbye to the older players. And the older players are the bitter people, whereas the newer players are coming in and getting that experience you just delivered, which, to be fair, starting Genshin today is a hell of a lot of playtime, bro. It's so much stuff to do, so much story, so much exploration, all that music. I will set aside what I think of Genshin is today and actually admit, yeah, I would have one hell of a time. I'd be like, holy shit, this game's amazing. But it's like once you get to that in-game experience, then you start to like the gist is up, the guise is up, and you're like, oh, this is what people are talking about. But that makes sense. I'm actually for the first time able to understand how these people get to this dumbass mindset of what they're doing is just fine. But now I don't think it's a dumb mindset anymore because I'm taking in that new player experience. That's fascinating.
Yeah. So and I think it goes I think it could go a bit further. So, and it's to do with Star Rail as well. Like gacha games in general, and I've noticed this because I played a ton of gacha games before Genshin.
Yeah,
and sort of Genshin brought in all these, and I'm not sure if like Genshin was the first one to do it, but they popularized the sort of really restrictive stamina system. I used to play Summoner's War for like 5 years. Like I started playing like 10, 12 years ago.
Yeah,
I haven't played anymore, but it used to have a system where like building, and we can talk about Star Rail with this type of stuff because I feel like Star Rail missed out on opportunities for some types of content based on this. But it used to have a system in Summoner's War where if you were free to play, you could still like infinitely refresh stamina and farm. And so building like speed teams to clear stuff on auto that were reliable was like a big thing because you wanted to keep burning that stamina. So stamina was cheap. You could get a ton of it and then you just like do it in the background, keep farming. And I used to love that type of thing. And so when Genshin came out, they introduced a lot more norms, like the very expensive stamina refills, so limited game time. But they also came in with their summon system, which is sort of like, I don't think anyone thinks like the Hoyoverse summon system is the best in the world. But I have trouble putting in on summon systems because I used to love Summoner's War system where there was no banners. There was no pity. There was literally zero pity. It was 0.06% drop rates on a max rarity character. And so this was where, but back then, like they had like a ton of low rarity characters, which were very viable. And I love that feeling of if you get something, it makes your account special because it feels like no one else has it.
So adding more value to the rare characters.
Yes, and it made it feel really special as opposed to I'm going to get this character.
Yeah.
Now, that's just me, probably because what I started with and I was biased towards that. But I completely understand wanting to get your favorite character. It makes sense. But they really popularized that system. But the other thing is, it was more of a casual game. And so I think a lot of games are now doing this where they go more on that casual focus, trying to build story, build reputation, build characters that people love. And that's what they do. So a lot of the time, even with Honkai Star Rail, now we can discuss the Star Rail side of it.
Yeah.
You don't have the end game. So I play gacha games now like console games.
Yeah.
But they just come out all the time. I play them free to play. I enjoy the playthrough. I get to the end game. And if the end game doesn't have anything for me personally, well, I just leave. I play the next game because there's so many of them. Yeah. But yeah, I'm curious to hear your thoughts on that side of things.
I mean, I disagree saying that it doesn't have an end game. It definitely has an end game. Otherwise, I definitely wouldn't be around. But if you're comparing it to like, I don't know, like MMO end games and like Monster Hunter's replayable gameplay loop. Oh yeah, I would agree, absolutely. But the thing is, it's not sustainable. You can get tired of doing that shit over and over. There's only so many elemental synergies and team compositions before you begin to say, okay, I've had my fun, time to move on. But I think the big hook for me and many other people is either going to be one or the other, which is story and then the new characters and the ingenuity of their gameplay loops that comes along with them. When a new character comes out, I'm interested in the story, but I'm more interested to unravel all the intricacies that this character can do. And it's a very short dopamine rush window for me to enjoy. We've talked about this, Volk. And once that like little 48 hour to 72 hour window goes by, I'm like, okay, all right, next. Oh, look, character drip marketing. All right, let's get excited again. But like, I think that coupled with their budget in-game system is what I would call it, is the end game in and of itself, which me and you both know this, but is it a fucking, like on a scale from 1 to 10, is it a 10? No. Is it a 9? No. Is it an 8? No. I'd say it's probably a 6.
Yeah. So, and it comes down to definition of end game as well. It's
right.
And it's like, how much end game do you have and how much do you want?
Yeah.
So like, and like with Genshin, so this is the other thing that I find with the Genshin versus Star Rail thing interesting. People are always like, okay, you play Genshin. What's your end game? You do Abyss. Okay, Star Rail, you do MOC. Yes, we now have
Swarm
pure
and Golden Gears.
We have pure fiction first of all, but that's not really, that doesn't really count because it's just replaced one of the rotations of Memory of Chaos. So it's like, you know, it doesn't add time, if that makes sense.
It makes
to your end game.
I can see what you're saying.
Because instead of refreshing MOC after 2 weeks, you just get the pure fiction. So it's like same time commitment. But then you have, and this is why I don't like to criticize it too much, because you do have Swarm and you do have the Golden Gears.
That's a perfect example, though, of how in-game goes wrong. Because I'm an in-game whore, and I don't even touch them because it's just too much fucking time.
and so that's where I don't like to like criticize Honkai Star Rail endgame. Yeah. Because I think they have done well in delivering endgame with those modes. The problem is, and I've said this forever playing gacha games, I'm not a fan of labyrinth type roguelike modes, because for me in a gacha game, like if they're a standalone game and the whole premise of the game is the roguelike, then that's the principle of the game. Whereas in a gacha game, I feel like it takes away from, I'm building my characters this way for this thing, but it becomes in like something like Golden Gears and Swarm Disaster, it becomes more of a fact that you're playing for RNG and additional effects that you haven't built for. And I don't know. And maybe that's and that's just my take personally, where I don't enjoy the system as much. Plus, it takes so damn long to get through the thing. And if you get one bad RNG, you're fucked.
And then there you go, time down the drain. And like you said, with rogues, a lot of times with the roguelike games is there's no progression. It's just like one time completion. I didn't get some badass armor that I get to keep on my character forever. No, I just got some primo gems and a pat on the back. So it's like that decentivizes me to want to continue playing the mode. But like, no, I just spent a whole hour and a half, bro, for one run. Yeah. So to support your argument, yeah, you can definitely add that on to the in-game issue that Stalker. You can basically say that's not really in-game, or if it is, it's a piss poor job at the in-game.
Yeah, and well, it's just and that's from out like mine and your perspective. Like, if people love that, because I know I was talking to Brax, and he was like loving streaming Golden Gears. Like, he said like it was the funnest thing he's done. I'm like, I just can't get into it. So I think they have done that good job. But yeah, in general with gacha games since Genshin, I feel like we've gone to more of that casual style. I look at something like Reverse 1999, for instance. They had like the card combat system, which in my opinion, and I always mention PvP because I love it, but like it's super catered towards that type of system.
It is.
But they went with the pure Hoyo model where you're just trying to sell characters. But then this is where I started the topic. We're coming full circle here after about 40 minutes of talking.
That's fine.
This is where I think why we get so strung up on the amount of pulls and free pulls you get, because the whole game model is built around story and getting new characters.
That's it, yeah.
And because those are the two main things, and this fucking took me a while to get here, but I think that's why the free pulls and stuff like that are so valued by the community, because that is what your game's about.
And that, but I don't like you saying, I'm sorry it took me so long to get here, like it's a bad thing. Volkin, that dialogue we just had is so goddamn important for the viewer to understand what you just brought up. Sometimes it takes an hour of dialogue to get there. But no, I'm serious. I completely agree. And that's also why it's a hypocritical approach for both of us, which we also operate, we talk about all the time, to go hard on it, like you just said, because if I'm being completely fucking honest with you, if the gacha community or gacha genre wasn't so lucrative with an enjoyable concept like the one we just mentioned, I wouldn't be here. Not me. I'd be playing an MMO. I'd be playing Monster. I'd be playing some sweaty ass game. I'm here because it's a way for me to grow my business while at the same time I can enjoy it too. It's not like I'm beating my head like, oh gosh, it sucks. No, it's fun. It is. But I personally, you take content creation out of this, I wouldn't be playing this shit if I wasn't making a career out of it, which you can't say that as somebody who's not making a career out of it. So for me, I think the whole thing is garbage, which people know this. I always talk about this, but I can't go around saying you can't do this if I'm in the industry attributing to its, obviously the concept of gacha. Does that make sense?
Yeah. Yeah, and this is where I literally just have other channels where I play other games, because I just give things the attention that I feel like giving them. So like, if I'm not having heaps of fun in Star Rail, like I still log in, I still enjoy jumping in, doing MOC, Pure Fiction, I enjoy checking out the new stuff, but on a daily grind aspect, it's like, it's not as fun, and I can see where Genshin could scale that even further and be even less fun, or it could be more fun depending on who you are, because you have to manually do the grind, whereas Star Rail has the auto factor. But I also think it's like there's nothing wrong if you just go play something else. Like I've been sweating my ass off in Black Clover Mobile, top 100 this week in the American region, but free to play, boys.
That Australian accent kills me when you do that shit, bro.
But yeah, like I mean, you just gotta play your game for what it is, and at the end of the day, this is why when I look at Star Rail, most people probably Genshin the same thing. People get really, and you'd know this from content analytics and stuff like that.
Yep.
The thing everyone gets most excited about is, well, obviously drama's a big thing because everyone obviously watches that, because that's a whole nother topic we could talk about.
Yeah.
But it's talking about new characters, like, and the anticipation for new characters. Everyone loves that. Like, I love that. Like, dude, don't get me started on Sparkle QQ, because like that's just fucking Exodia next level.
Yeah.
But then like the character comes out, and then everyone wants the guide. Like let's face it, everyone just wants to watch Brax's guide because he's fucking funny. But so So like you've got that.
He's a good guide maker, man.
Yeah. So and then once you've got the guide, you've had all the anticipation. Then it's like, yeah, but I can still do everything. You
should have kept that silence for another 7 seconds. And then it's like,
you go.
Well, and I think it's because people, the most important variable that's like a double-edged sword for the creator and the viewer is you just get to fucking experience yourself, right? After the character drops, oh wait, now I'm about to go in this little rabbit hole of playing with this character until I understand every little thing about them. So why the hell do I need to watch content after that? At least that's my thought process. But that always leads me down this rabbit hole of what does the demographic truly look like? How many people are working full-time jobs and playing this game for 15 minutes a day? They don't have goddamn 1 hour to play the game. I wish Volkin, this is completely getting off topic. I wish there was some website I could go to look at those analytics. I would love to look at, I'm a numbers guy. I'd love to see how many people are 30 years old playing this game. What's their job occupation? How long are they playing the game? But unfortunately, that information does not get disclosed to the public. But I have a theory. Go ahead.
And I think that's where, as content creators, putting your opinions on stuff like this, like, a game not having enough end game and stuff like that, like, this is where I'm always conscious of the fact that my view is skewed because I do this full time now. So all I want to do is play games and make content.
Yep.
And then I feel worse about a game if there's not as much content to make because that's my job. So even though I might be having fun in the game, if there's no content, it's like, well, am I wasting my time now doing this? So like everyone has their own personal bias.
And on the other end, to the contrary, the game, you have to still continue to enjoy it because it's your job too. Otherwise, now you're just miserable and you can't even bring yourself to make content because the fucking game's boring to you now. You know what I mean? So it's like two different things that you have to tackle, which I come across that often in Honkai Star Rail. But I will say, to support the 2.0 update, it's things like the Annihilation Gang as well as the Penacony new exploration that adds a sense of breath of fresh air back into me. And I'm like, I'm looking forward to playing it again. But to go back to what you were saying earlier about I just go hop off of it, give it the attention it deserves, go play other games. That's how people need to start looking at all of this whole entire nonsense with the Genshin Impact and Honkai Star Rail whole ordeal. The game can't hold your attention forever. It's not supposed to. It's not designed to. No human being on planet Earth can do one thing forever and continue to enjoy it at the same level they enjoyed it when it first released. So it's important for you to say, I'm going to play this game for 7 hours and then I'm going to take a break. And once it drops some new shit, I'm coming back. But people fail to understand that very simplistic concept, and it kills me.
And can I say that I think this is where the snowballing of drama comes in? Because... And especially in Hoyo games, I don't see it in other games because they've done such a good job of world building and making people really fall in love with characters and stuff like that. People just want to be in and amongst the game, but if they can't do it through the game, they'll do it through the community.
Yeah.
And that's what snowballs everything.
It's like a whole nother enjoyment for the person because they can't get the enjoyment from the game. Well, now they're getting it from the drama.
Yeah.
That's
kind of the way I look at it.
Well, no. I'm saying I agree, but I'm saying it's actually kind of weird because for me and probably for you too, Volkin, we're probably like, all right, cool. I'm about to go hang out with my family, or I'm about to go to the gym, or I'm about to go on vacation. They're like, oh, well, let me see what somebody else is doing in the community. I don't understand that. It's the most rude way. Typical Gacha Smack asshole. You don't have a life, bro. I'm serious. You don't have a fucking life because, like, for me, I don't go to drama. And if I do, it's because content exposure ship for me, and it's something I feel I can contribute upon and add value and cure idiocy. But other than that, again, you take content creation out of it. The last fucking thing I'm doing is keeping up with what the community's talking about.
Yep, 100%. And I'm exactly the same. Like, even me, like, I'll make whatever I want to make for Star Rail. Then I'm going playing other games, uploading videos on my other channel. Like, it's just like, I just feel like it's wasted time when I dive into that. Like I literally jumped on Twitter. Like I'm hopeless with social media. I never had any social media growing up. The only social media I had was WoW, playing with my mates and talking through Ventrilo back in the day.
Hey, no, hold on. Don't you skip over our last podcast. Not only that wasn't the only social media. The split screens, the boys coming over.
That's not a media sense. That's just fucking system link. That's the boys. Yeah.
Exactly, man.
If you okay. To everyone out there, dude, I don't even know what like an Xbox, like an old Xbox retails for these days. But if you're younger, you never experienced it. Even if you like, I mean, you can do it even online.
Listen to this advice. It's God tier advice.
Get like your 5 closest mates, 4, 3, however many. Bring all your Xboxes, PlayStations, whatever you want to one person's house. All get a tally, sit in a room together, even sit in 2 rooms if it's competitive, and then play against each other. It was the funnest shit. Like, I used to do it every weekend with my mates.
Magical.
And this was back in the day before we had LED TVs. So we're being the big cathode ray TVs with the fucking, and you're putting them in the car, getting mum and dad to drive us around. You're bringing all your cords. It was the best fun, dude. Like,
ultimate kinship, ultimate bonding, and energy shared in a room. That's when you realize, like, energy for real. There's different forms of energy, but like the aura of being around people where you enjoy their company, that shit is so real. It is. I mean, we're experiencing it right now virtually, but it'd be even more powerful if we're in the same room. Go ahead, though.
Yeah, but make sure you bring deodorant, because fuck me, when you've got a bunch of boys in a room, it's fucking...
Wash your ass, bro, and wash your balls.
Back when you're like 16 and you're having all-nighters, like, holy
Don't give
shit.
last thing a 16-year-old sweaty testosterone kid is worried about is being good hygiene, bro. It's fucking funny, man.
It's fucking good. I can't even remember where we're off to, but you were talking about...
I got you. I'll go with that.
You go.
I was gonna say... I was just gonna say this is a good time to go into to close out the 2.0 whole ordeal with the direction of the story. And I just want to hear your thoughts. First of all, who's your most interesting Annihilation gang member? And is there anything you're expecting in terms of a plot from the Annihilation gang? That satanic shit in the trailer really tripped me out and made me fascinated by the dark elements of the story and bringing some real fucking, like, you know, heartstrings in there. So I'm just curious to hear your thoughts.
So first of all, the thing I'm most excited about, or the character, if you will, this is Sam. I know it's not directly Annihilation Gang, but Sam, holy shit, since that thing with... Like, I didn't even watch the end of that Kafka trailer when he was first in it, and we were on one of Tectone's podcasts when they said, I'm like, who the fuck's Sam? And then I was like, this big Gundam looking dude, are you kidding me? Like, that is epic. And this was... And this is the whole thing, because this was my... main criticism of Hoyo games coming into Star Rail before its release was, like, they make good looking characters. I get that. Like, they do good designs, they do good models. But I wanted more Escanor looking motherfuckers, mechs, beasts, and stuff like that. And that's why Svarog was, like, my favorite from the start of the game.
Yeah,
because, like, let's face it, they call it Clara. It's really, like, Svarog does everything. Like, he takes the hits and he dishes the damage. Clara just stands there. It's Svarog.
And I love that damn... I love it. It's so fucking cringe for an edgy point. But I love when they put the jacket on somebody, but they don't actually put their arms through the jacket.
Yes.
It looks so good. It makes you look like such a boss. But Svarog has that shit.
Yeah, like, and like I said, I've been watching One Piece, and a lot of them do that, and I'm like, that is just such... It's just, like, such a cool thing.
It looks like, so cool, man.
And then, like, I try and do that, and I'm like, what a fucking idiot. Like,
it only works in anime, man.
It does. It doesn't work in real life. If you do that in real life, and you walk down the street, everyone's like... Fuck kids away.
Like, this, who the fuck is this lame ass dude trying so hard, bro? Volkin, that gave me a good ass laugh, bro.
But yeah.
Go ahead.
But yeah. So, like, Svarog, I think it was a massive W for me in this type of stuff. I like, because we've talked about this before, how, like, I don't get that whole attraction to anime characters in, like, you know, people, like, fall in love with the anime. Like, I don't get it, but I've always loved cool things. Mm-hmm. And so, like, that's where, like, you know, like back in, like, Halo days, like, all the Covenant, they were cool looking. Like, grunts were funny. You had Master Chief. Like, who doesn't want to be this fucking big soldier dude in, like, you know, like, all that stuff was, like, cool. That's what I like. Yeah. So then so Sam, I am so, like, I don't give a fuck what Sam does. Like, that's a character I need to pull. So I'm probably going to go for, we'll talk about it in a minute, but Sparkle because QQ. And then I'm just saving for Sam.
What do you think about the Sampo? Do you think people keep saying this shit? Sampo. Do you think Sampo is Sam? I don't think he is.
I have no idea. I hadn't even thought of that.
We're gonna find out in this story.
Yeah, that hadn't even crossed my mind. But I mean, Sampo's got something going on.
Yeah, he does.
Like, there's something with Sampo, but I don't know what it is. But if I had to guess, I wouldn't say, like, that wouldn't be my take.
Me neither. I think it's a reach just because of Sam and Sampo. I think that's just too much of a reach. Also, the fact that they're showing Sam in this 2.0 story update and Sampo, like, playing some villain, it's like they're But what I will say is if them motherfuckers is in the same place at the same time and it does end up being Sampo, that would be the coolest story plot ever, man. I'm like, yo, that's some masterful shit. That's some aha elation type shit.
It's like someone else pretending to be Sampo while Sampo's is Sam.
Correct. That would be
like that would be cool.
Oh my god, dude, that'd be so cool. But I don't think they'll do it. I'm serious. I don't. That's just my thoughts.
No. But the other one I'm looking forward to is I can't remember the guy's name. The big demon-looking dude. What's his name?
Ifrit or Duke Inferno?
Duke Inferno. I think Duke Inferno looks like he looks cool. He
does. Proper
even
villain.
Even if he's not, it doesn't become a playable character. I'm still cool with that. I feel like he gives that, like you said, proper villain vibe, and I feel like they can definitely. And now combining that with the fact that, everyone's talking about the Honkai Impact third rider and stuff like that, I feel like we can get some really cool story plots out of him.
I couldn't agree more. And that's what I'm saying. First of all, though, this is just me, again, geeking out. I need him to turn into Ifrit for real. Do you know who Ifrit is, Volk?
There's so many iterations of Ifrit that I've played through different games.
And that's what's funny because, and maybe I'm wrong, but I'm pretty sure Ifrit came from Final Fantasy. Final Fantasy 1 all the way up to the 16 that they've made. Ifrit is a summon in there, and he's the Lord of Fire. So it's like, and he's this big badass fiery demon. And it's like, I would love for the Duke Inferno to be the boss, obviously, eventually, and he transforms into Hoyoverse's version of Ifrit. That would be so goddamn perfect.
Yeah, I'd imagine Ifrit must be some mythology character in general. I don't think Ifrit would have come from a specific game. I think it's like a mythology character. Someone let me know in the comments. I don't know, but that would be sick.
You can go ahead and do Final Fantasy 16. Go ahead. I'm listening.
But yeah, I think that's like those are the two like characters that I'm most interested in. Yeah. I'm not super like. I think the new world is going to be cool. Like I like those aspects of like going up the walls and then climbing on the walls and ceilings and stuff like that. Yeah, it's no stress. Yeah. So I think that's going to be cool, but I'm not as excited about that whole like dream world trash can. Like, don't get me wrong. Like some of the enemies they showed look freaking sick. Like the T-Rex and stuff like that. Like they look cool, but it all seems a bit. It's not intense enough. But I do think that Looney it will be okay because it leads into the darkness. So I'm cool with that.
Yeah, as long as they strike a balance between that Looney Tune goofy ass vibe they have with Clocky and stuff, and then they set it up for the real intensity, I'm okay with it. I'm okay. In fact, it would make for an even better emphasis on the dark side of the whole story. But going back to what you said, how you want the big badass Escanor people, that brings me to my most disappointing factor of 2.0, and that's Gallagher being a 4-star abundance healer.
Yeah,
brother, I don't know if you watched my shit on that, but I said he looks like a retired squaw or a Shanks who never left the bar and stayed drinking. But it's like he literally looks like the one character that could have gave us a hint of what you were looking for, the badass Escanor guy, and they gave him a fucking 4-star abundance healing role. So it's like that tortured me, but the one saving grace that he could redeem himself, or they could redeem him with, is if he's a mafia fucking bartender who, they do this trope a lot in anime. They do it a lot in anime where the mafia bartender is like, he just looks so to himself. He doesn't cause any problems, but he has all the interconnections to the streets and to the darker elements of the town that you're inside of. If they give him that role it would be so perfect for me because like it would then give me another reason to love him despite him being a 4-star abundant healer. But I had the same thing you were talking about, the Escanor thing. I was looking forward to him and they butchered me with the healer. I was like, no, bro. He looks so cool, man. He looks so cool.
It's funny because you say that whole bartender thing. It just like, then we were talking about Escanor. You know, when you first see Escanor in the anime and he's in his scrawny form.
Oh,
and he's in the bar, and he's like literally just the bartender.
Oh, true. Dude, I didn't even think about that. Wow.
And then Galen slaps him, and he's down, and they're just waiting for it. It's like, oh, fuck, I love that scene. Dude, it's just talking about that shit.
I know.
When he stomps up to Esterosa, it's like, oh, shit. Like,
ultimate Chad, bro. Like, it doesn't get more Chad than that. Which again, that's why I was hurt that Gallagher wasn't going to be some 5-star either preservation unit or destruction unit. I would have been like, God damn, this dude's about to be a boss. And those are my expectations. But we can move on to the next topic we had, which was going to be discussing Wuthering Waves, and then that'll finish off our debut podcast.
That's it.
Yeah, man.
What's your general thought? Like, you hit us up with your general thoughts around Wuthering Waves.
I try my absolute hardest these days, most importantly, especially after disaster that Diablo 4 presented us, not to hype myself up for games anymore. I really do, because like every time I do this, I place all these expectations on the game. I play it. And it never meets the expectations. I'm just like, holy shit. Whereas, to be fair, on the other end, I was going into Honkai Star Rail thinking I wasn't even going to cover the game. I just wanted to give it a chance because I'm a turn-based fanatic. And I ended up loving it. So I want to do that same thing with Wuthering Waves. But after looking at everything they showed me, I can't help it, Volk. It's like I'm incapable of not placing expectations on this game. I think it's finally going to be that gacha game to give me the boss challenge I want, coupled with the mechanical intricacies in combat. Because here's what I told you, this is what makes a good combat fight for me. The boss needs to be very challenging to where you have to compute and figure out how he moves, find his openings, find his patterns, and then that coupled with the practice of your craft of the weapon class or character you're using, that is what breeds good gameplay loop. And I look forward to that game giving me boss fights in abundance where I can use my favorite characters to fight this hard-ass boss, get my ass beaten up, but then I master it, and then I go and do it again with another character that has a completely different dynamic. That's one thing that I need that game to capitalize on for me. And it looks like it can. On the other end of the spectrum, the exploration and everything that makes Genshin beautiful, I think it can also pull it off. And if it pulls that off, look, we just out there grinding Pokemon, brother. Like, that's just what it is.
I was going to say, you better mention the best thing about this game or else I'm going to fucking flame you. Yeah.
Dude, it looks like, and then most importantly, the developers... And we get pump faked all the time with developers, right? But that last interview, it took my heart. I was like, these guys seem genuine. Most importantly, though, the thing about a developer that you generally can get you on behind them is they look hungry. They look like they really, really want the success. They want to take the top. So I'm all in on it, man, when it comes out, 100%.
Yeah, when you say you try not to get your hopes up, with gacha games, I just get my hopes up because I know I'm going to have a fucking good time for the first week at least. That's and then after that, it's like, who cares? Like, I don't think, like, literally, there's like, I hate Crunchyroll as a developer for games.
Yeah.
There's a One Punch Man coming out in 2 days' time.
Yeah.
Like a month ago, I didn't give a fuck. We're 2 days out. I'm just got that itch to do some re-rolls, play through a new game. And like, even if I know it's going to be bad, I get excited for it because it's like, it's something new. It's something to play around with, figure stuff out.
And the honeymoon phase is the most enjoyable phase of a gacha.
100%. Play it for 2 weeks. If I don't like it, I'll drop it. Like, it's fine. But I think, the big thing with Wuthering Waves, though, is obviously shiny Pokemon. I think shiny Pokemon is going to be something. It's going to be something that... So I think for me, like with something like Genshin, or when you compare it to anything, because I hate the Genshin comparison, but like for me, Wuthering Waves I think has the 2 casual features that I enjoy. Because normally I'm competitive in games, like I love PvP even in gacha games. But I think the 2 casual features they have, depending on how they deliver them, are the 2 casual features that I have previously enjoyed. Shiny Pokemon.
Yep.
Like every generation of Pokemon, even when I was a kid, I used to spend hours, like ridiculous amounts of hours, just hunting shinies. Masuda method, hatching eggs, like whatever it be. Like the big one for me was in like, I think it was like, was it Ruby Sapphire? That was the first one that I started really going for it in. But yeah, like anything to get shiny Pokemon, I was all about. I've got like 13, like X and Y came out when I had broken my foot. And dude, I think I've got about 14, 15 shiny Froakies still on that account because I was trying to get a perfect IV shiny Froakie. Like, I just sweat hard on that kind of thing. And so that, like, with their shiny Pokemon implementation, if they do that well, I think one thing that they'd have to do is not make the rates too high, which is a hard thing to do in a gotcha game because everyone wants everything. But I think you've got to have those rates literally like shiny rates in Pokemon. Maybe Masuda method rates where it's like 1 in 4,000 instead of 8,000, but like it's got to be rare enough that it feels special when you get it.
I almost raged in the live stream due to a misunderstanding on my behalf, because they were like, oh, and for the people who are like complaining about not being able to get them, don't worry, we have an easier way. And I was like, and I paused it. I was like, what? You better not make that shit easier. It better be very rare. Like, it better be very rare. And they basically were saying, no, we're not going to make the shinies easier. We're going to make you not having to traverse the map to find this one random echo just to get it. We're going to make that easier. So you can grab the echo. And they basically implemented it in, I think, to the daily and weekly routine to where you have a chance of just getting an echo of your choice. But no, they said they were going to keep the shiny. I mean, they didn't say anything about making the shinies easier, but to reinforce your point, yes, they need to make that rare. Absolutely. Because that's the pride and joy of catching the shiny. I would like to share an experience that I spent 12 hours trying to get a shiny Ghastly, and my boy got it in like 1 hour. I shit you not, I quit the game after that. I was so mad, Volkin. This motherfucker got on for 1 hour, got the shiny Ghastly. I was livid. 12 hours, did not go to sleep. I had the whole like, oh, I'm not going to sleep until I get it. Never came. And I was like, he sent that to me, bro. I uninstalled instantly.
Yeah, actually, I've been doing the Let's Go Eevee playthrough with my son, and like literally, I have never got a full odds shiny in my I've played Pokemon, so I've never got a shiny outside of doing shiny tactics. Yeah, like I've never just seen a full odds shiny in
just
the wild.
Strolling in the park.
My son's fucking in the cave, shiny Zubat. The fuck?
Yeah, that's
you played the game like 3 times and you've got a shiny Zubat. I played this game for years, generations, and I've never seen a full odds shiny.
First of all, allow me to just point out the fact that that's so goddamn cool that a dad is like tripping out about his son catching a shiny. That's how you know we are truly the coolest generation involved. I wish my dad would have been pissed off about something like that, man.
Yeah, oh, dude, it was just like it was so cool because then he's like, is that good? And I was like it's like you're trying to explain that to him. Like he's 6 years old and he's just like,
that's a genuine, is that good, by the way, ladies and gentlemen. That's not a Genshin Impact or a Honkai Star Rail 40 crit value piece. Is this good? It's a meme, Volkin and Genshin Impact. These fucking kids, they'll get a 40 crit value piece, 30 crit damage, 15 crit rate, acid. I'm like, are you kidding me, bro?
yeah so like I think that's just like, and I hate just nailing in on that one topic, but the reason that is so big for me, and people might be like, Vulcan, stop jerking off over shiny Pokemon, it's like it's a different color, who gives a fuck? But like it's that thing that I know, because a lot of these games are more casual based, but it's that one thing I know I like in a casual game, because most things I like are competitive. So it's like, even when I talk about World of Warcraft, playing a hunter, getting the spirit beasts, I'd fucking sit there on my mount, flying around, because you'd have the mat plops where they spawn, and Loch Nahak, which was like the real rare one back in Lich King. Like he had like 7 spawn locations, I think it was, and like spawned once every 8 hours. Yeah. So like when you tame that motherfucker, you go straight to Orgrimmar and you're fucking whistling that bitch out and you're just like, yeah. You know what I mean? Like there is nothing like cooler than that. So
I agree. It's the one thing that has value, replayable value, once you've done everything else in the game. And it's like it holds you until the next update. And then when you're hanging out with chat, chilling, you could actually have some good productive conversations while simultaneously doing some shiny farming. It's like, how hard is it for these other companies to grasp this shit? It's not a hard concept.
And this was the thing, and this was such a missed opportunity, and I still wish they would do it with Star Rail, with their Pokemon event. Yep. And I said it back then, that needs to be a permanent event, and defeating those enemies, whether it be in Simulated Universe or in the world, gives you a chance to get them to then use in the permanent Pokemon battle system. They could have had that because like Genshin has a card battle system or something that's like their PvP. Like they could have done that same thing with those quote unquote pet battles, if you want to call it. And then there's no, it's pay to win because everyone has access to everything and it's just, you got to play the game and get it. And so like then they could have had like a little mini competition inside it and had this whole thing where I would have then farmed every mob in the world every day. And if they then made shinies on top of that, like it's extra incentive. I feel like it was such a missed opportunity, but they could still bring it back. And if they did, that would be so cool.
RNG, I agree. And RNG rewards in and of themselves are a missed opportunity for Hoyoverse games. Like even putting like budget ass skins as a chance to drop on boss fights and stuff. I think, and making it incredibly rare, equivalent to a shiny. I think that's a missed opportunity. Like you can make the premium skins, people will buy them 100%. They sleep on that as well. But like World of Warcraft, that's another thing that's super cool if you get a skin that's rare, you know, or a weapon that is rare. You can't do that in Hoyoverse because it's a gacha game. But what you can do is make a skin on a character's like weapon, rare to either buy or not rare to buy, but buy you can buy it, but rare to acquire from doing a fight over and over or doing an MOC. After 100 times, you finally get that little thing that makes the fucking weapon that Arlon is using now have a lightning aura on it or something. But they underestimate the quality of replayable loops with gamers when it comes to that kind of stuff.
Yeah, that was like when I remember when World of Warcraft introduced the transmog system where you could change your gear to look like other gear.
Yeah.
Like the amount of replayability that gave old content because you'd want to go through and you do like your daily / weekly runs on whatever raid or dungeon it was to try and get that gear. Like the amount of times I went in to fight Illidan trying to get the Wrathglaives just because it would look cool. Like I did that on every reset.
Customized drip marketing. No, I agree. See, this is why we got to get the game developers on here so they can share why they beat around the bush with this kind of shit.
But that was a nice fucking 25 minutes conversation on shiny Pokemon. But the other thing with Wuthering Waves,
yeah, go ahead.
That I know I like. So did you play Punishing Grey Raven?
I never did. I only watched a couple of things here and there. And I don't, it's like, for me, it's past the phase of interest for me. I'd just rather wait for waves to come out, but go ahead.
Oh yeah. I was just meaning more for the combat, the combat basics that they bring to their combat. And the thing I loved about Punishing Grey Raven was even if you had the gear, you still had to obey mechanics and like you couldn't make too many mistakes.
Yes.
Because
I
you
love
would
that.
die. Even if you had good gear. So it's like, yes, gear helps because it means you have to be on point for a less period of time because you can deal more damage faster.
Yep.
And maybe if you got better gear, you can make a couple more mistakes, but you still had to get good at a fight to beat that fight. And what I really hope they do with Wuthering Waves, and it's on that topic of what we were talking about, is in Punishing Grey Raven, a thing that a lot of people in the community did was like 0 damage runs. So like I remember when the game first came out, it went to 8-12 or something was the final boss. And I did like my whole, like I had this mission where I wanted to solo it with the base character that you start with whilst taking 0 damage. And I finally did that. And it was like such a fucking like, it just felt like it was fun because you're like learning this fight. This guy has so many attack windows. And if you miss 2 dodges, like you just, it's done. It's done. So you gotta like be perfect on your dodges. They don't give you massive flashy indications on when you need to dodge. You need to learn the fight. You need to understand that this guy's just hitting you. And as soon as he does like a little crouch, he's about to explode and deal AoE damage. And you have to dodge that or you're screwed. Like, and I loved how in depth the fights were to make you have to actually get good at that fight. And I would love it if they added achievements in Wuthering Waves. And I'd like this from any game, kind of what you were talking about, where achievements, you look at something like Star Rail Genshin, you do an achievement, doesn't matter how hard it is, like you might get 10 Stellar Jades instead of 5.
Yeah.
But like give us like some cool cosmetics for doing 0 damage runs on a certain boss, where then you get a skin for that boss if you're using it as your Echo or something like that.
Yes.
And it's like an achievement one.
It's so slept on, man. But to continue on your shit you were going on earlier, doing the ultimate most sweaty run that you just mentioned like that it's the ultimate testament as a gamer that I am good at this game. You know what I mean? I know what I'm doing, and every gamer is prideful to have that feeling. At least Well, the gamers of our generation. There's a lot of casuals here these days who can give much less about that. But for me and you and people who have the heart of a sweaty gamer, that is the ultimate testament for us. And that's why we want the challenge, so that we can show that off. Yes, I mastered this fight. And now we move on to the next fight. Oh, by the way, you got to play Monster Hunter. Shit. Speaking of that, because it is so good. But that's Wuthering Waves, anticipation-wise. That is the ultimate thing I'm looking to deliver on. Like, I need it to.
Yeah, 100%. I completely agree. I'm 100% looking forward to it. Like that comes, like beta comes for that. Like I'll probably just do daily streams and stuff just on the beta because I'm just that excited to play through it, get into it. It's just that thing. It's like it's something new. You've got so much to discover, figure out, and that's what I just love in gacha games is like they come out so frequently. It's just a new experience. It's like a new game all the time. And if you play them free to play. And so this is like a whole nother thing. Maybe we'll talk about it in another episode. But it's like the thing with the whole paid model of gachas is like once you've spent, you have a hard time leaving. I play every game free to play. I'll drop games as soon as I'm not having fun and just move on to the next thing. Doesn't matter. Like I haven't spent anything. I got the experience.
I don't have I spent a lot of money on that, and this is like gonna sound crazy, but I feel like it's only people who don't make a lot of money who have that feeling. Me personally, Volk, whatever I spent on the game and the time that I've had with the game, it's there. That was like, it's basically like, it's no different for me going out and taking my babe to a dinner. Yeah, I'm like, well, it's gone. Like Genshin Impact, I quit that shit, never went back. Like, and I had definitely like maybe $2,000 into that game, maybe $3,000. But I'm just like, I don't trip on like, basically my decision to leave, no impact is involved with the money I've spent on it. Zero, absolute zero. But I get that's just me.
Yeah, but I definitely think it is like. It's like it's
a
one
factor
of
for
many
other people.
things. It's one of a stack of things that I think keep people tied into something. But
I agree. Yeah.
Yeah, but I'm the same. Like I used to spend in gacha games, but then I just stopped spending because it's like I'd quit accounts as soon as I spend in them because it's like
I remember you told me that shit is weird. By the way,
it just doesn't feel the same. Yeah, it's so dumb as a content creator. The amount of content you could like I miss out on because I'm just like like I spent day one I spent $300 on getting Zilla on an account. 2 days later, I just dropped it. I just can't do it.
Now that would bother me because I am in that sense. I'm very aware of money. But I was gonna say it's true that you miss out on a lot of content, but at the same time, a content creator by the name of Enviosity, he made his whole goddamn image and name and success built off the free to play model. So it's also something that people really respect you for, and the free to play audience will support you for as well. Just food for thought.
Yeah, and it's not, and that's a whole other thing. The whole like, and the free to play thing. It's like people wear it like a badge, and that is something else that I don't get.
Yeah,
I
do
it just because it's like if I buy a monthly pack, it's just like I feel like I've taken myself personally. I feel like I cheated, but I don't take that upon other people. I don't care. I'm not saying I'm better because I'm free to play and I've done no. Like I just want a sweaty try hard at max difficulty that I can do, sort of thing. And that's why often in games. That's like in the first account that I made for Star Rail that I played through, I was only using 4 stars and free to play light cones because like I wanted that challenge. But then once you got through it, it's like, okay, now I want to get new characters and have fun. So I played my other account.
Right. No, I get it. I get it. You're just self-imposed challenges that you're not going to force anyone else to go, like to set those standards for anyone else. But somehow the gacha community loves doing that. Oh, he's not free to play. Oh my fucking God, it drives me insane, man. Now, but Volkin, this was a great productive conversation, man. I truly enjoyed it. I wanted to end this off with, I generally feel like OG podcast is good because people are going to think it's original gangster, and for me, it's original gamer. But
I mean,
chat, comment down below. Y'all let us know. Go ahead, Volk.
Yeah, we were discussing names. So if you guys have any input into what we should call it, let us know. We're gonna try and do this like same time weekly. Yep. I think is the plan. Yep. And then obviously if something else pops up that we want to do something on, we can always jump on. But that's the plan. I just wanted to get a place where we can have a discussion, because weekly there's going to be random drama and shit like that. And I don't make drama videos because I don't like doing it from the perspective of one person. But this way we can have discussions about things and shit that goes on, what we're excited about. Wuthering Waves obviously coming out. Zenless Zone Zero, I'm hoping to hear. Actually, I'm hoping not to hear anything from Zenless Zone Zero because I'm hoping they're doing a full remake like Wuthering Waves. But we'll have to wait and see. But anything that pops up, any topics you guys want us to cover, and anyone you want us to get on. I know Techdown does his big podcasts. That's just too hard for me to manage. Like I don't manage that type of size. So I figured me and Smack, we can get one person on, we can go through a specific topic depending what their specialization is, and we can go through that. So any ideas you guys have, put it in the comments. Anything else?
You did a fantastic job, brother. Well, no, you summed it up perfectly.
All right, sweet. That's it, guys. We'll see you next time.
Yeah, y'all take care, guys.